Now I want to say something, this is kind of editorial comment, but this is not uncommon, and that is there are people who've been subject to early severe trauma. It could be sexual, physical trauma, psychological, and or early neglect, and they are walking around really with at a biological basis a brain that can't regulate affect very well. And we're going to explore this in more detail here in just a few minutes. But they go through their life then. Let's say they get out of the abusive family, like I was talking about before, go into a foster home or something like this, and things are okay, but the damage has been done. And so they walk on into adolescence and adult life really being compromised in terms of their biological ability to shut down stress responses. And let's say that there's a woman who now is 25 years old. She had a history of very severe early neglect, and she's got this persistent abnormal neurobiology. And she's married to a guy, and he's a good-hearted, decent man, although he doesn't get it. And so what he'll say, occasionally she'll get emotionally quite distressed. He'll say, gosh, you're just so sensitive, you know. And again, when people say that, typically it's a sort of critical judgment. But let's say this guy really is concerned about his wife, and he says, listen, sweetie, I know that when you were growing up, it was horrible. But listen here, that was years ago. And it's totally different now. Your life's okay. So you need to just put that past behind you. Well, I mean, wouldn't that be great? You know, somebody come in to see a history like hers, come in to see a psychologist, and the psychologist says, "Oh, well, just forget about it. Just put it away." And I can imagine the person going, "I never thought about that. Yeah, hey, I feel better already. Brief therapy really works." Well, I'm being silly about this, but what happens then, it really, for the person who's experienced this, is, and they probably get it not just from the husband, but other people are making these comments, that they know, I can't help it, okay? And they oftentimes, understandably so, will start to feel like, and other people just don't get it, okay? Now, I want to also, a little bit of an editorial comment here. People have gone through this. Again, they have a number of different outcomes, some borderline personality disorder, some prone to severe recurrent depressions and so forth. I think that there are times when sharing some of this with a patient makes a lot of sense. And this is not just my opinion. A number of other people that have written about this say the same thing, but I'll tell you what the responses I've got from my patients. At first, I was reluctant to do this because I was afraid that, oh my God, they're going to say, oh, I've got permanent brain damage, and make them feel even worse, and very pessimistic. But almost universally, when I've explained this, and of course you have to use plain English, but to give a little bit of details about this, you can almost see a sigh of relief in these people when they really get it, that they can't help it. And for me, that doesn't lead to increasing pessimism. It leads to increasing compassion. And I strongly believe that when you say they can't help it, that people are responsible for their behavior, okay? But still, it's just like a person who has fair skin. They go out in the sun, they get sunburned. They can't help it, okay? They can learn how to cope with it. They put on sunscreen, not go outside. But these people have this biologically based tendency for intense emotional reactions. And, it's just not right for them to get blamed, okay? Anyway, that's my little sermon here.